So we have left the nice insulation of North London to come down to Victoria, a very nice area. Ainsley Harriott, as you can see, is with me, a massive Arsenal fan.
Massive Arsenal fan, yeah. Got my attire on today because I've been they're doing a lunch in my honour at the Westminster Catering College, so I had to turn up, put the tie on. But there is a hint of red in there, which tells you that I'm a massive Arsenal fan, always a little bit of red going on, and certainly thrilled about one of the biggest occasions in sporting history tonight.
It's going to be very, very good. Can I just ask, you're more of a South London boy, right? So how does Arsenal come into your consciousness in the beginning of your sporting life?
Well, I could support Man United. Most of them live down in London anyway. Only joking. I think it's a friend that I still go with. We have season tickets there, and he took me to my first Arsenal game back in the early 70s. The year afterwards, with McClintock as captain, we went on to win the double. So it was a nice, soft introduction, if you like, or a great introduction into, one of the great football Premier teams. Let's be honest, it's we're talking about Arsenal here. We're talking about someone that's been around for a very, very long time, a wonderful history, and to. If you think that I could quite easily, Chelsea football grounds, 10 minutes drive from my house, right. Maybe 20, 25 minutes walk. I could have gone to West Ham, Crystal Palace, Wimbledon. Loads of them are relatively close. But the first time he took me to Arsenal, I liked it. I liked the energy there. And yes, they were playing good football because they went on to win the double a season later. So it was, that's why. I just like the vibe. And, you could say, why do people support someone that lives up in the north of England? It's just that you do. Yeah. Maybe it's because they're winners. You've got lots of Liverpool supporters, haven't you, that live down in the south because they were successful. And I think people attach themselves to success. I don't know any Man City supporters down in London, but I'm sure that if I did, they'd probably be youngish. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And why shouldn't it be? Because it is all about success. It is all about attaching yourself. One of the reasons we want a football shirt of a great player is because they're a great player. Yeah,
it's very true. What I find interesting then is how, I guess over the course of maybe the last 40, 50 years, how that culture has shifted between the Arsenal fans and Arsenal the club. It really feels like Arsenal has been emblematic of the beautiful multiculturalism around London. Yeah. And I know it's not necessarily North London based, but even some of the players that have come through from Ian Wright all the way through to Emile Smith-Rowe, I know they're all both South Londoners, but it kind of speaks to a city and a fan base that's very much in touch with that.
Oh, totally. And you're so right. Multicultural, just having a good vibe. When you walk into somewhere, it's about how you feel. And, I'm sad to say that, when I first went to Chelsea and I was chased down the road, called all sorts of names and things hurled after me and my mates, both black and white, but we weren't accepted.
Was that because you were Arsenal fans? Or?
I don't even know if it was just Arsenal fans. Perhaps it was because it was... No, because at the time I wasn't any particular fan. I think it was just that you came from the wrong side of the road. You didn't fit in. What are you doing here type thing? So I think things have changed enormously. And for me for that first time going to Arsenal and going up the tube and walking up that tunnel through the Arsenal actually having the name of their own tube station, it's pretty cool, isn't it? That's pretty damn cool. And you're sort of walking up there, then going to the stadium at Highbury, and the success that followed. Yeah, there were lean years. There was periods when Don Howe was in charge, and I've never seen so many draws in my life. But you stick by it, don't you? It's your team. And my youngest son Joe's a Man United supporter, and all he knew in his youth was pure success. And now they're going through a bit of an indifferent period. You can't believe it. What's gone wrong? And I said, it sometimes happens. And I think we had that when Sir Alex left United and when Arsene Wenger, the great Arsene Wenger, hopefully, he will come back and sprinkle some of his beautiful dust over the place again. What an amazing man he was. He's just, people like that, they have so much control over the club. They've been there for so long, that when they leave, it's almost like things just destabilise, things kind of start falling apart because they had control of everything. So for me to go to Arsenal, to go to Highbury and now on to the Emirates, and to still be passionate regardless of whether we're successful or not. Hopefully this year will be a turning point.
Well, that's a really interesting point, successful or not, because it did feel maybe throughout the end of the Wenger era, there was still entertainment, even though there wasn't a huge pile of success. And I wanted to ask you that. I mean, you are an entertainer. Your father was a pianist. I mean, your family is you've got a lineage in entertaining. Yeah. Like, did that speak to you in any way? The fact that maybe post George Graham to a certain extent, or certainly into the Wenger era, that Arsenal did become the great entertainers, and that was a core part of the philosophy of the team.
Yeah, you're probably right. I don't necessarily think we were that wonderfully entertaining when George Graham was there. I thought it was all about defence. You know, I think he used to tie them together on a piece of string and they would just stay in a line and defend. I think the real beautiful football, the beautiful game came with Arsene Wenger and the players that he brought with him, and allowing them to express themselves. We see a lot more of that in the Premiership, but he was the godfather of that, and he started it. And boy, was it a wonderful time to watch football. And any neutral loved watching Arsenal. And I think you get a little bit more of that now with people talking about City, some say about Liverpool and stuff like that. It's just the efficiency of them and how beautiful and the freedom of it. And that's all we want. You know, if you want someone to do a sport and they do it in such a beautiful way, there's nothing better. You know, you can have the hard-working, grind-out type players, or you can have those players with wonderful flair, and you just go, do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like they're like ballet dancers, aren't they? They're just so graceful, but they've got a ball, and yet they can go in for a hard tackle. But everything they do is done with such smoothness. It's beautiful. It's like the perfect ganache. It just moves across the cake beautifully. I like a ganache, I do. Oh, lovely.
Which footballer is most ganache-like then, if you want to go down that?
Well, after
Serge Gnabry.
I know, well, De Bruyne after last night's performance was phenomenal, wasn't he? Yeah, I mean, 4 goals. I mean, he's a beautiful... But I think it's, when you're looking back, we talk about the great Wrighty. I think more than anything, I loved Ian Wright's celebrations. It's why that man will always be on TV, will always go on to do things. He brings energy and happiness into you when you see him. He did that when he played football. And I think you could say the same thing about Thierry Henry, you know, how beautiful he was, him and Perez and, Freddie Ljungberg, can't say the same about Patrick. Patrick was the engine. Patrick was like the oil that feeded everything, that gave everything parts to work. You know, he was the main man. You know.
What's the food analogy for Patrick Vieira?
Food analogy for Patrick Vieira. Oh, well, if the other one was a ganache, he is the what would I call Patrick? Patrick would be the Patrick, like the base of a sauce. Patrick would be the jus. The jus, J-U-S we're talking about here. The jus. I mean, with the jus, you could put a jus into everything. It's like your basic gravy, and you can add different things to it. You can add a bit of red currant, and you could melt it down into it. You could whisk it a bit. Patrick Vieira, the jus.
I love it. I was going to ask, what is your kind of like your mood on match day? Like tonight, you're not going to be at White Hart Lane. I presume that almost adds to the nerves. Like we've seen you in the stadium and posting videos in the past on Twitter, and geez, you're as enthusiastic as every Arsenal fan. Yeah. Tonight, what will you be like?
Well, I think if we were in Tottenham's position, I'd be more nervous. I think that nobody expected us after we sort of had our losses against Southampton and Brighton. You know, we just didn't perform particularly well. We had 3 losses back to back. If we'd have got the 1 point, then it would have made such a difference. But nobody expects us to turn over Chelsea. Nobody expects us to beat Man U 4-2. You know, results like that just galvanised us again, given us belief. At 1 point, we were ready to be very critical of Arteta and his team, backroom team. What are you doing? You know, you've taken us this far, and then, you know, suddenly we feel deflated. And that little twist just kind of lifted us back up again. And there's been moments this season when you just felt like, maybe, just maybe we might get to Champions League. So the idea that we were thinking maybe, that in itself is, we didn't even qualify for Europe last season. And everybody talks about the slow progress, taking the next step and the next step. Well, this is one giant step. And people talk about Neil Armstrong, one giant step for mankind. Well, this is one giant step for Arsenal, being able to take that step if we can tonight. Even if we get a draw, then we get another draw. We are 4 points ahead. Let's not, sort of pretend that we haven't got the points in the bag. This is the first time we've got the points in the bag, but we need to protect that. So it's about protecting something. It's about having a youthful team that allows themselves to express themselves, and bringing Nketiah back, genius. Because I think that having, it was great. Lacazette's been great. Laca's been fantastic. But he suddenly took on too much responsibility, I think. He forgot what it was like, or he forgot his job in the team, which was to score goals. And I think he was just getting the ball, laying it off, doing nice things, making the right runs. No, it's instinct. And Nketiah showed instinct. Yes, he's been taking shots at distance and stuff like that, but that's what goal scorers do. And they're perfecting their art. And eventually, guess what? After you've done that 200 or 300 times, you're going to know how to hit that really, really sweetly. How many times have we seen De Bruyne hit that ball with his left foot? Last night, they just connected. Everything was sweet. It's not even his proper foot, but he's got a couple of goals. Bang, bang, bang with that left foot. Amazing, isn't it? Yeah, talking about tonight. Yeah, we are nervous. We all know that. This is the biggest game in Arsenal-Tottenham's history, I'd say ever. Us going up to White Hart Lane and winning the league doesn't even compare to that, because we already knew that we had a great team, and that wasn't the last game of the season at White Hart Lane. This, I know, is not the last game of the season, but this is the difference between having been out of Champions League football for so many years, the opportunity of being able to get back in, the opportunity of hearing that, "We are the champions," coming out of the Emirates. I mean, guys, we just can't wait. We want it. We want it. And if we believe enough, and there's something about that youthfulness, I genuinely believe, that's going to get out there and do it. Yes, we do fear Harry Kane. Yes, we do fear Son, as much as we do fear any other team that we play who's got great players. And these are world-class players. So let's not just, poo them away and say they're rubbish. They're not. They're great players. But if we can turn up on the day and allow ourselves, as my friend who's from Jamaica says, that Diamo Odegaard can kick a ball, and that is what he can kick a ball. He can pass a ball. He can make things happen. And, I think he's beginning to express himself. We all know about Saka. Not sure whether you say Smith Rowe will start, but Martinelli has been a revelation. His first 2 yards, that boy's first 2 yards, has been unbelievable. Gabriel at the back. I hope, we get Ben back tonight. And even though, what's his name?
Kieran Tierney?
Not Tierney's out for the season. Tierney, love Tierney, but he's got to learn not to get stuck in so much. Too many injuries. Him and Partey, too many injuries. And we've had that. We had that with... who's our great Ramsey? We had that with Ramsey. A bit of a sick note all the time. Come back, play 4 or 5 great games, then out again. And we all know about the Diabys of this world. Great players, but in and out all the time. And then we had a Vermaelen that came, and we were expecting fantastic things from him. Even became a captain. And by the way, anybody who becomes captain of Arsenal, beware. They always go out. They're always on their way out the door, whether it's Fabregas or whether it's Van Persie or whether it's Thierry Henry or, even now, looks like Laca's on his way, doesn't he?
I'm telling you, Martin Odegaard is going to break that streak.
I know, please.